Good evening. This is the Elliott wave update for the NASDAQ 100 for Sunday, February the 27th, 2022. First thing I want to start is I'm starting here on a 4-hour chart, and I have made some adjustments to the Elliott labeling, and I want to go over those with you before we start to discuss this major gap lower to begin the Globex session here on Sunday evening. To start, I continue to leave the fifth wave, the endpoint for intermediate 5, primary 5, cycle 5, up at the 16,768 high. We did 5 waves down for intermediate wave 1 that had previously been labeled intermediate wave A. I've now switched it. I've switched it over to a 5-wave decline and labeling it intermediate wave 1. It's not the prettiest, but first waves can be that way, and it works. And then we had an ABC up. That was intermediate wave 2. Previously, this was labeled intermediate wave B, which would have left us in counting a C wave down. But as I constantly was interjecting as we were counting that it was either going to be intermediate wave 1, intermediate wave 2, and intermediate wave 3, or intermediate wave C. But here's what I now have changed up as well. From the bottom, we were looking for a minor 4th wave up, and which would suggest that we had completed the first 3 waves of a minor degree down, and that would have been within that declining C wave. And it just, that part was not fitting. But again, at the same time, I also alluded that this could possibly be 5 waves down in its entirety, and not, it could, in its entirety, instead of the way I was counting it as a super extended 3rd wave, it could be have broken into 5 waves of minute degree, and then this would be minor 1. Now that is what I did. I changed this to minor 1, which leaves this particular high, I know it only shows a 1, but it's actually 2, as minor 2. Now I sat with that for a little while, and I thought I'm going to let this market open and see what it does, because there was still the possibility that the market would open, continue higher, even in a wave 2, continue higher and start reaching up towards 14,900, 800, 600. So it still had plenty of upside room to continue to climb. And it certainly was left on Friday at the close that long, get long, get long, get long. Now, that has changed dramatically with the NASDAQ gapping down over 400 points as Globex opened this afternoon/evening. The market has rallied some back, but continues now to just play at much lower levels. So I'm going to bring this back down to the hourly chart so we can continue our discussion. What this now suggests is that if this is the completion point for that intermediate wave 2, and this is minor wave 1, minor wave 2, we are now dropping again, as I was saying here, we're dropping into a 3 of 3 move. And what convinced me more of it was this gap, was this immediate just slice down from the close Friday at 14,196 to it opening at 13,900. And it actually gapped lower and got itself back there. But we'll call it that was the opening, 13,900. In fact, you know what? Let's just go over and take a look and see what they declared the opening was, 13,900. And then it gapped immediately down to 13,683. From 13,900 to 683 in one big slam. It was powerful. So that did not conclude it. And there was another huge seller, and that dragged it all the way down. Now, so if indeed, wrong one, let's go to the other chart, sorry about that. we're just in that beginning stage. Minute wave one. So that's as far as I can go. Whether my minute wave two could be complete. Could be complete at these highs that we've now seen about 13,850-ish, 845. That could have completed it. So the little rally back, maybe it's done. Let me drop down again so we can start to see some of these interiors. So minute one, minute two, or A, B, C, we get a two. So the picture has changed very dramatically in terms of what we can expect. As I've continued to talk, even when we had these strong periods of just had to have it, rally it, have it, markets are extremely oversold, et cetera, I remember talking about, and it stands firm, that markets can be extremely oversold, and it could be indicative of a sincere bottom, or it could be indicative of a crash coming. And now we're kind of realizing it could have been the possibility of part two. The next slide, the larger slide lower, in the form of an intermediate third wave. Now, within that intermediate third wave, we would have to believe that minor wave one and two are now complete. So what we had coming off of that high from intermediate wave two was just minor wave one. If minor wave one is 2,037 points, then what could wave three look like? 3,000 points, 2,500 points, 2,700 points, up in that area. But 2,000 brings us down to 11,000. It's or 12,000, excuse me. It's getting serious. And again, what we're in here, folks, is a longer term corrective process. Now, I know I talk about 8 to 10 years or 5 to 7 years or any of those numbers in between. But then I have to go back and realize, well, what's different about this particular time, it's all algorithmically controlled. So everything is entered via algorithms. And when the sellers move in, they just move in. And it's not like you have to put an order into the floor and a broker runs out and sells your stock. It's electronically done, so it can move a lot faster. And then I also have to consider that in March of 2020, the NASDAQ lost 38, almost 40% of its value in 3 weeks. 3 weeks. That's all it took. And that was very dramatic, and it was really fast. Now, if we're dropping in the third wave, it could be a repeat of just sliding lower and fast. And again, when we were looking at this as being a third wave, the minor third wave, yes, it fit and we had serious downside, but nothing until the very, very end did we see where it just slid. It just moved. And now we're kicking off with an even bigger start for it to just go. This was a gap lower last Monday in Globex. It gapped lower. And what did they do? Just bought it. And then they moved in on Monday and just bought it all the way back up. Well, now they got a few different reasons here. This was the invasion. This is the invasion is not going as planned. And now we have, whether it's true, whether it comes into play, whether it doesn't, it's the threat. And so it's really going to stir a lot of emotions and traders and people, et cetera, of Putin ordering his nuclear facilities and nuclear capabilities to be put on high alert. That, I believe, is what's doing this. Now, we still have other things outside of all this, of a war, of it expanding beyond the Ukraine. It's his next move. He's going to, go and try and grab Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Is he going to make claims on parts of Poland? Is he going to go back and try to get Romania to be a part of the Soviet Union? To be more communist than it is now? et cetera, et cetera. Is he really going to get pushy with NATO, who sits on that other border, waiting? So there's a lot of what ifs. And I'll tell you one thing the markets don't like, what ifs. Because decisions need to be made. I'm now going to be long, I'm going to be short. Do I move into bonds? Do I move into gold? Do I get out of my stocks? What stocks are going to survive? What are not? There's a lot of questions. Back to the NASDAQ. The potential for the drop to get ugly exists. We saw the initial kickoff for this minor third wave. Very brutal, very absolute fast. Within 30 seconds, the market had dropped 465 points. That's pretty brutal. What can it do once Asian markets open up, when the European markets open up, and the rest of us in the US come into trade tomorrow morning? Where will we be? What can we do? Our initial projections for the minor third wave, when we put that up, that would be these extensions. For wave 3 to be equal to wave 1, we're back down here, 12,180, 159 to, let me see, where are these? 12,188, which is pretty much where we were before, and we were looking before. Now that's where I think this minor third can come down to. And if we tacked 464 points on an opening, yes, they're rallying it back, but they're not getting real far. And I think it would be take a lot of guts just to blow off everything that's going on and say, we're buying. That's going to be somebody's terrific opportunity to sell it. But in any case, here's where we now find support. We have some support at 13,716. We've already gone through that. We've come back above it, so therefore it's still in place. We have support at that low, which is 13,683. Our next solid support in terms of Fibonacci and this third wave is 13,418, then 13,178, then 12,937. That takes us below this previous low of wave 1, which I'm anticipating will have to occur in the third wave. Minor wave 1 completed at 13,025. Minor wave 3 should break that pretty easily. So we have that 618 support at 12,937. Then we have 12,841, 12,760, 595, and then 12,187. That's what I'm expecting. There's a little bit of a zone down there, but this third can end anywhere in this zone as well. 12,937 down to 12,595. That's a pretty good zone as well. But then the one that I really caught my eye was 12,187 down to 12,159. That is where the intermediate third would be equal to 100% or equal to the intermediate first wave. That one I don't count. Simply because third waves are the longest and the strongest. So I'd be expecting the intermediate third to come down to this level, 10,296. See how it changes? It changes very dramatically, and that's what I wanted to bring to everybody's attention. It's not going to go straight down there. Although, if things escalate, it could. I'm not going to deny that we could get into some serious blowing out in the market, just kind of getting out. So we'll see. We'll see reactions. But initially, I am thinking that we're going to get back down to that low at 13,025 and start heading below 13,000, which we've not done yet within the context of this decline off of the all-time highs. We've not gotten down there. As low as we've been is where we were last Thursday morning. That's as low as we've been thus far. So we're now, I believe, going to start breaking below those levels and below 13,000 and start to really move towards these lower levels. Likely, we're still going to hold above 12,000 as minor wave 3 completes. We get a minor fourth wave bounce, which should again be a decent bounce. And then we get a fifth wave down, and that'll complete that intermediate third wave. And yes, ultimately, the Fibonacci tells us 10,296, but we have additional support above that. This zone is pretty strong, I would think, as well. And that's from 11,018 down to 10,724. I think that could be an area that can complete intermediate wave 3 as well. So we've got zones, and then we've got another zone down here. Again, it just depends on what happens. And this is the opening in another market that we're seeing right now, that somebody just walked in and decided to buy this up. And I think it's the Asian markets opening. So we'll see. Because somebody just walked in and took it up. Well, $10. Not all that much, but $10. Pretty good. Here it's 16. I'm looking at a 30-second chart on another computer. Sorry. So any case, I think we still have downside. There's our support. Now, upside, if they walk in again and they decide that, oh, we're extremely oversold still, first, they got to close the gap. That's, whoa, come on. That's a large gap that was created in this market. Come on. Give me back my screen, please. Oh, son of a beehive. Thank you. Give it back. Thank you. So I apologize for that. It has to fill the gap, and that's a big gap to fill. That's 400 points. But we still are moving lower, and we're going to get the 50 to cross back over the 200. This is on the 30-minute chart. On the hourly chart, it's kind of the same picture. We're talking moving averages. We have gapped below the 4, the 8, the 200, the 20, and the 50. We gapped below them. We're now recovered back above the 50. If this continues to rally, its next step was getting itself back above the 20, the 4, the 8, and eventually the 200. Against all odds, they would have to do that. We shall see. So I'm thinking that once, if they get it cleanly back below this 50, we'll start to see some acceleration. And here we have upside. Now I'm going to say it's limited. But because the volatility is increasing yet again, and right now, the VIX, I don't think it trades. No. But where is this? No, it's not trading. Yes, it is. So it's back up almost 3. It's about back above 30. So, and we saw it last Thursday as high as 33. So tomorrow, be careful. Trade according to your moving averages, according to our fibs, and follow the price action. Volatility will be wicked to the downside and the upside once things are going. And be 3 waves up would be corrective, and still consider 5 waves down. I believe that the trend has now resumed and is now down. I'll be looking for that follow through. So how I'm going to find that is that corrective waves will be 3s. And again, let me just quickly go over and show you. There's the gap. This ends up being most likely a 3, ABC 3, and now we're working our way back down. So this is like the little 5, and then we get another little correction. And now we might, come on, slide a little bit stronger. So corrective waves will be 3 waves, up, ABC, and declines are the trend, and there'll be 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Wish everybody a really profitable trading day tomorrow. Mindsets are going to be vitally important. keeping out that external and internal noise is going to be vital to how you trade. So staying focused on the price action, staying focused on your indicators, staying focused on what's happening in front of you will help keep in balance and keep that outside noise away so that you can make good trading decisions. Next update will be Monday, the 28th.